Hey, so here at the beginning of the video, as usual, to remind you about Rami's family, who needs any donations that we possibly could get. Lately on my Instagram, the day that I've been filming this, I've been sharing other accounts that have been sharing of any GoFundMes that have been at like standstills. Rami's family is a family that has been at a standstill. $5 minimum on GoFundMe. It's a $5 minimum. Any money at all that can get them food, clothing, medical supplies, anything like that. There is no aid entering Gaza at all, whether from the ports or from the borders where trucks could drive through. There are trucks waiting at the borders to be allowed to be let in, and Israel is not allowing it. Israel's not allowing it. They'll allow weapons through so that they can disguise cans of food as fucking mines, but Israel's not allowing aid in. There's aid waiting. Israel's not allowing it in, so that means anything that is in Gaza currently, in Palestine, is like exorbitant prices. Like, again, I say this in every video, you think the shit in America is bad and or gonna get bad, you can't even believe what they have to fucking pay to be able to maybe get some rice and some water, which rice is like a staple across cultures, across continents. It's a staple. As well as Sajud's family, same thing. Any money at all, $5 minimum, to be able to afford food, clothing, medical supplies, anything that they might need that might be left in Palestine, considering that aid is waiting and Israel is not letting it in. Let's keep that in mind. $5 minimum. Did you guys know that I was Portuguese? That's it. That's the intro. Hold on. I have to do the white woman math where I calculate how much Western European I am. And then what do the like really obnoxious white bitches do? Where they're like, and then I'm like 1/4 Cherokee tribe, which is like gross. I hate when people do that. It's so annoying. My mom does it and it's annoying as fuck. I think I'm like 25%. I am 25% Portuguese. Do you guys know I was Portuguese? Is it like obvious now that I say it, or did anybody have any idea at all other than like white woman what like my background would be? Yeah, I'm like 25% Portuguese on my mom's side, which is cool. It doesn't look like I'm saying it's cool. It is cool. I think it's really interesting and cool because I found that like as I'm getting older, which is so funny, not funny haha, but funny like ironic that I'm about to say that I'm getting more in touch with like my background, especially because our borders are now being like watched for American citizens. They were always being watched, but at the day that I'm filming this, the recent news is that police are setting up new checkpoints at the Canadian border because they super don't want us to fucking leave. They want to trap everybody in this hellhole country. Yep. Yeah, and anybody that like tries to come in, they're being like, you want to go to a prison camp? Because you're gonna. So funny, ironic that my next statement, as I'm getting older, I find that I'm getting like more in touch with like my background and being more curious about like my background and where I'm coming from. Because the thing is, the thing that white people do is be like, oh my God, well, like, of course I'm going to cultural appropriate because like I'm white, so I don't have any culture. The thing is, what happened in this country happened to you too, babe, where they stripped you of your rich cultural background that you have and made it so you have no fucking idea. So then you take advantage of other cultures and appropriate them. You see how that works? Because as I'm getting older, again, I'm much more interested in, first of all, like my background, but also like my mother's side of the family background. We're a matriarchy on my mother's side because I don't know if I've talked about this before. I feel like I have. Also, Mother's Day just passed, so this like kind of goes in tandem with what I'm talking about. My mom, her mother's name, my mom is Junior. My mom is that Junior. And then my middle name is Rose. Government name. I probably shouldn't be giving away my full name on the internet. Whatever. My middle name is Rose, and it's only coming from, out of all the brothers and sisters that my mom has, Rose has only gone from her mother to my mother to me. And now, like, my mom's children, because I have a niece whose middle name is like Rose something. It's like a dual name because they also have family maternal names. But yeah, it's kind of like a matriarchy on my mom's side. And my grandmother wasn't Portuguese. It was actually my grandfather. And when did he come over? His mother and his sister came over from Portugal maybe late 1920s. I don't remember. I did a whole project about it back in high school, but because he was born in 1913. So it must have been the late 1920s, early 1930s. But yeah, they're from, my family's from Portugal. Also, we're not specifically from Portugal. We're from the islands. What's that trend on TikTok where it's like, when I remember that this is like, this country is technically an island, so that everybody's doing like island dancing, which I'm fucking obsessed with. There's a specific term for it. I'm gonna find that here so I don't just call it island dancing and sound like a fucking stupid white woman, but I don't know the term off my head at this exact moment, so this is the correction. I'm correcting myself, holding myself accountable there. But yeah, we're from the islands. The mom calls it the Azores. I don't know a lot. I'm starting to learn, but I don't know a lot. The Azores were specifically from Madeira. Okay. And like I said, as I'm getting older, I find like I'm much more. When I was younger, I was like super into the fact that I was French and Irish. Maybe because they offered French as a language to take in school, and maybe because where I, was born and raised is very heavy on the Irish culture. Which is funny also because where I was born and raised, same kind of vibe. It depends on which city you go to. One is very heavy Irish, one is very heavy Portuguese. And they're not very far from each other. One's just a little more south. But each one is Irish or Portuguese. Which is funny because my dad's Irish, and I was like super into the fact that I was Irish for a long time. Also, like St. Patrick's Day in elementary school, at least again where I was born and raised, were like heavy on St. Patrick's Day. Like we did activities for St. Patrick's Day. It wasn't just leprechaun shit. We did like heavy activities. So yeah, when I was little, I was very obsessed with like the fact that like that from the dad's side of the family. But my mom's side of the family, that's just it. We're Portuguese. We or a couple other things, but we're mainly Portuguese. She's 50% Portuguese and I'm 25%. Which I just think is really cool because growing up I was like food-wise, if you can't tell, I'm fat. Look at my little chubby cheeks and my little look at that. I'm fat. I am like an old when we were farmers, the background of when we were farmers in Western Europe, I am like a dream. I'm fat. I got the wide hips for the childbearing, except I'm not anymore because I never shut the fuck up and I tell men to go fuck themselves, and I don't eat beef or pork, which is a huge part of Portuguese diet. I do eat all the bread though. Portuguese pops. And I'm not gonna, any Portuguese or from Portugal or from the islands of Portugal, if I pronounce this incorrectly, don't forget, I'm like incredibly American white woman, right? So, milaçadas, if you like fried dough from like carnivals or whatever, or like country fairs, think of the best fried dough you've ever had. Now imagine it 30 million times better. That's milaçadas, especially because it's not as disgustingly greasy as fried dough is. It's like fluffy and light and delicious. And I do like Portuguese food a lot. I just don't eat beef or pork, and that's not specifically because of Portuguese food. It's just I don't do it. I've never liked the taste and it makes my tummy hurt. So yeah, especially Madeira, I've been looking a lot into, like, I have a whole list, and not like, and again, I would love, this is something that I would absolutely love, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, because our government, again, you never think this is going to be able to be said, but it can be said. Our government here in the United States is getting worse. And if you didn't think XYZ could happen to you, it's getting to that point, baby. You know what I mean? It's getting there. Also, talking about like being from other countries and everything, just in case anybody's confused, fuck ICE and fuck cops. I don't respect either one. Both of them are fucking useless, and they both deserve to burn in fires. Just putting that out there. Don't care if you're one of the good ones. The only way you'd be one of the good ones is if you're fucking dead. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, as I've gotten older, I've been doing like research into Madeira and like looking at hotels and like what things like that would cost. And then also like attractions and like parks and like important like historical touristy things if we ever got to go. Because I think a dream of mine personally, and like definitely for my mom, is to be able to take her to Portugal, and specifically take her to Madeira, where our family's from, because apparently before my grandfather immigrated to the United States, he and his family, before his father passed away, so then it was just him, his mother, and his sister, his family owned a villa. They owned farmland and they owned a villa, like a beautiful building. And when they came to America, there was like an uncle or something that was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You guys go to America, you know, I'll figure stuff out and I'll send you money so you'll be all set. But what this bitch did was steal the villa because, you know, especially back then, and I know in certain cultures it's more prevalent than others, my grandfather was like the man of the house when his father passed. So then the uncle was like also the other man of the house, and because he was the older authority, my grandfather was like, yeah, don't worry, we're trusting this guy. But I guess what the uncle did was like sell off the villa or like steal the deed for himself. So then of course they never saw a cent or the villa ever again, which is fucked. Because imagine if my family had a villa on the islands of Portugal, I'd be living the Portuguese Mamma Mia every fucking summer. You know I would. In my like little bikinis, shaking ass on the island. And in case my very specific, one of my best friends is watching this, like Island AU. Anybody who can decipher what that means. Also, I'm sorry, I feel like I got my teeth cleaned today. I had my 6-month cleaning, and I feel like I was told I was very brave and I was doing good. So nice teeth. I don't know what this fucking video is. I think it would be a dream to be able to take my mom back, especially because you know, if you want to believe this next segment, if you're a skeptic, whatever, that's totally fine. This is part of the conversation, though. If you don't believe in this kind of stuff and you think it's baloney, then you can just move on over. But when my mom was growing up, it was her older sister, and her oldest brother. They used to say that they had dreams about a place that they've never been to before. They know they had never been to before. And each one had kind of like certain dreams about different rooms. And they would sit down and talk about it sometimes with my grandfather and be like, oh yeah, and I was in this room, but then I went out into a hallway, and there, you know, like I would walk around and there was a room with like a piano or something. And my aunt would be like, the room with the piano I've been into, if you go down the hallway and take a right, is the room you're talking about the one with like this window? And my mom would be like, oh my God, yeah. And I couldn't enter the piano room. My aunt would be like, yeah, I couldn't enter the room with the window. And then my uncle would also be talking about like another room, that same thing. He knew where the room with the piano was and he knew where the room with that specific window was, but he couldn't go in them, but he knew like the layout of the house. And every time they would talk about it, my grandfather would be like, that's the fucking villa. That's the villa that I was cheated out of. That's the villa. You're dreaming of the villa. So, like, how fucking cool would it be if we, like, if my mom and I were able to, like, go to Portugal and we're looking at, like, these different places and we just, like, go on a walk or something and we walk by a specific house and my mom's like, this is the place. Or like the land, this is the land, depending on if that house has survived the whole time. I just think that would be fucking neat. And I think that would be very cool. Because man, I would have loved to have a villa in Portugal. God, that would have been so cool to be able to just go to a different country probably every summer and live my Mamma Mia life. I don't know if I would be as much of a baddie though if I was in Portugal all the time, because I don't know. I'm not saying this as like judgmental. I'm saying this genuinely. I don't know what the vibes are. Well, obviously modern day feminism, like inclusive modern day feminism, obviously is everywhere. It's not just in the United States. I'm not that individualist that I think it's only in the United States. We did not girl boss that into adventure. That's not a fucking thing. But you know what I mean? Like certain cultures have certain societal roles for specific genders. So I don't know what the vibes are in Portugal because I don't know fucking anything really about my background or culture. I need to be doing more research, especially because I'm so interested nowadays. Also, my mom really I don't speak any Portuguese. I barely speak French. I took it for like 6 years in my schooling time and went to France, and I can barely speak French, and I definitely can't understand it. I definitely can't read it, and I definitely cannot write it other than like je t'aime. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. My mom is and the thing is she's rusty because when was she ever speaking Portuguese? None of her family really speaks Portuguese. My grandfather, when he moved to America, really didn't speak Portuguese either because he needed to be able to find jobs. And most people were speaking English for jobs. But my mom only has like a 3rd grade level of like reading, writing, comprehension for Portuguese. And again, she's probably rusty. I don't know how much I think she can count to 20 in Portuguese still. But also when she was going to school, especially like when she was growing up in the city that she was living in, because it was like especially like the neighborhood she lived in, it was predominantly like a Portuguese culture. And they were doing, I don't remember if it was in school or like after school, they were doing like Portuguese lessons, but what it was mainland Portugal and like American influence as well, because again, it was in America, but it was like mainland Portugal. And I guess she would go home and her father would be like, show me what you learned today. So she would show him or like tell him, and he would be like, no, it's like this, because he was from the islands. So it's not only like a little bit different, but then it was also like he was using a lot of slang, and they're teaching like formal Portuguese in school. So we are like, my family's like so divided, not divided, separated. My family's so separated from like that culture, and that's the one like we actually care about. My oldest brother actually was born with my mother's very Portuguese maiden name when he was first born. She changed it later, and she was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that when she thinks back to it. Hindsight's 2020. But my oldest brother actually was like Portuguese name and everything. And what's so funny, because if you looked at pictures of my oldest brother, he looks very like, yes, puberty makes you look different. I didn't work for me. I look the exact same. But my brother looks like a very stereotypical Portuguese child in like all of his old pictures, and then he hit like 14 and hit puberty, and he's looked the same since 14, and it's completely opposite from how he looked. Okay, my family says this all the time. If this is considered like a slur for Portuguese people, I guess technically I can say it, but like I don't really know how that's gonna work. Is Portuguese like a rude thing to say, or is it an okay thing to say? Because again, we are Portuguese, and we grew up, my brothers grew up in a city with a very like predominant Portuguese population, so people like called them Portuguese all the time. Is that bad? Like, should I not say it because of how not Portuguese I look? Because I look a lot like my dad, who's like most Irish. He's like 75% Irish. So I look a lot like my dad. Should I not be saying that? Somebody please like genuinely educate me in the comments. Because I would love to be called out for saying stupid shit, and like if somebody wouldn't mind either educating me or fully being like, I'm not educating you because I don't have the time or patience, also pay me for that, which like huge respect. That's how we should be handling it with Black people. We should not be in Black people's comments being like, can you educate me on this? Google and like go to your local library and do some fucking research, right? But if somebody could like please call my ass out if I'm ever saying something like stupid or ignorant, and that way I like know which direction to go in to like fucking educate myself, I would appreciate that. I'm not gonna say it again because again, I don't know if like I should be able to say it. Does that make sense? But yeah, anyway, I keep repeating myself and then going off on fucking tangents. But yeah, did you guys know I was Portuguese? I am. I'm like 25% Portuguese. It's crazy. And I've never like involved myself in my culture other than like eating the food, which again, I don't even eat most of the food because a lot of the Portuguese diet is like meat heavy. Oh, and what's the other one? I'm probably going to pronounce it incorrectly, but I don't like it at all. But it's, what is it? It's like bacalhau or something like that. I don't like it. I don't think it tastes good. I'm sorry. I have a sensitive belly. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you're also Portuguese and if you're watching this from Portugal, that would be fucking neat. My analytics did at one point say that I was like big in the UK. And by big, I mean my analytics said that like 75% of my audience for like that month was from the UK, which was interesting. Hey, big fan of Doctor Who. But yeah, it would be cool if like people in Portugal were watching this and saw me. Because like, hey babes, we're distant cousins. How you doing? Anyway, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!